Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day today. Today we are talking, it's chapter 16, Sport Facility and Event Management. The number of sport and event facilities built, renovated, or approved for construction around the world has increased dramatically over the past decade. For example, in the United States, there are 8 major facilities with capacities over 10,000 that opened or were projected to open in 2017 or later. The estimated cost for these stadiums was nearly $44 billion. This surge in construction is by no means specific to the United States. Brazil spent $3.6 billion on the construction and renovations of stadiums for the 2014 World Cup and $4.6 billion for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. Given the extensive price tag associated with construction, there has been backlash in the media and from community members who are not supportive of spending public money on these projects. In addition, the Oxford Olympic study in 2016 found that Russia spent $21.9 billion to deliver the 2014 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games in Sochi, which is $19.4 billion more than Salt Lake City spent to host the events in 2002. Although there were claims of corruption surrounding the financing of the event, Russian President Vladimir Putin maintained that the inflated prices were due to the honest mistakes of investors and that the actual figure that the government contributed was significantly lower. Regardless, the spending received criticism because it occurred amid a slow economy in Russia. The types of sport and entertainment facilities are as diverse as the events that they host, as you'll see here in Table 16.1. Some are single-purpose facilities that are used specifically for one sport or activity. One example is the New York Mets Citi Field. Although the facilities sometimes host concerts, bowling alleys, golf courses, motorsport tracks, skate parks, swimming pools, and water parks are other examples of single-purpose facilities. Other facilities are built for specialized events, but they may not be considered single-purpose facilities because they host other types of events. For example, Tri-Habitat is a newly conceived endurance sports racing and training venue that not only supports the 3 disciplines of triathlon, such as swimming, bike, and run, but also includes a lodge and conference center, a pavilion that can host music events, 5 separate stadiums for spectators, and a marina. The facility can host triathlon events, music and work events, and single sport swimming, cycling, and running events. Other facilities called multi-purpose facilities host a variety of events such as concerts, truck pulls, motocross races, home and garden shows, and recreational vehicle shows. These facilities might also be home to intercollegiate and professional sport competitions. The number of managers in a facility, as well as their specific titles and duties, varies depending on the size and purpose of the facility. Consequently, those interested in working in facility management need to read job descriptions carefully to determine the precise duties associated with specific job titles. In the sections that follow, we describe several management positions and their accompanying responsibilities with the caveat that specific situations may differ. In general, however, 3 positions that exist in most facilities are the facility director, the operations manager, and the event coordinator. The facility director, also called the facility manager or general manager of the facility, or even chief executive officer, have overall responsibility for the entire facility. This person is mainly responsible for the creation and proper administration of the facility's standard operating procedures. The operations managers report directly to the facility director and is responsible for all personnel, procedures, and activities related to the facility. This manager has a variety of duties, such as defining the roles, responsibilities, and authority of facility staff, recruiting personnel to coordinate the various areas of the facility, coordinating personnel, policies and procedures, and activities within the facility, evaluating facility operations, and making recommendations to the facility director. The event coordinator, who also reports to the facility director, is responsible for managing individual events held in the facility. Every event is a product, an outcome, and an occurrence. An event occurs in a specific year and month, on a specific date, and at a specific place. All preparation must be completed before the event begins, and the pressure for perfection in event management is high. Many students think that obtaining a 90% or A grade for academic work constitutes excellent performance, but if you are managing an event for 70,000 people and the satisfaction level is 90%, you will have 7,000 unhappy patrons. Having 7,000 unhappy patrons could be disastrous for an organization due to word of mouth and social media. Therefore, event managers need to make every effort to ensure all patrons have an enjoyable experience. Events come in many shapes and sizes, from a small corporate 5K run to the New York City Marathon, from an 18-hole community golf tournament fundraiser to the Masters, from a Little League baseball game to the World Series. Event management includes the planning, coordinating, staging, and evaluating of an event. Most events have similar components regardless of their scope. Planning for an event involves setting goals and determining the best course of action to achieve the goals that were set forth by the event managers. Because of the varied nature of events, no two events will have identical organizational structures. Many elements, however, are common across the industry of event management. Figure 16.1 shows a typical event management personnel structure for a moderately large of 2,000 to 3,000 participants sporting event. As you study the figure, you'll notice that the executive director is at the top of the hierarchy, division managers are in the second tier, and the remaining positions are primarily coordinators. For the sake of brevity, we will discuss only 4 of the positions identified in this figure: Executive Director, Operations Division Manager, Security Coordinator, and Public Relations, Marketing, and Hospitality Division Managers. The Executive Director is responsible for the overall administration of the event. Some of the responsibilities include developing operational and strategic plans, preparing the financial statements and budgets for approval, anticipating problems and budgets for approval, anticipating problems and implementing solutions. The director is responsible for hiring and recruiting division managers and coordinators and defining their roles, responsibilities, and authority. The director also needs to provide administrative support for division managers and coordinators in the overall planning for each area. The Operations Division Manager is responsible for all personnel, procedures, and activities contained in the Operations Division. These items include registration, lodging, medical services, communications, merchandising, and concessions, transportation, signage, medals, and awards, and results. This person clearly defines the roles, responsibilities, and authority of each coordinator and manager while recruiting personnel to coordinate each operations area, helps coordinators and managers complete their assigned tasks, assists them in the overall planning for each area, and coordinates personnel, policies and procedures and activities within the operations division, and facilitates communication among all operations coordinators and managers among other division personnel as needed. The security coordinator works with multi-agent representatives within a command group structure to ensure a safe and secure event. The command group is composed of individuals from the following areas: facility management, law enforcement, emergency management, fire and hazmat, and emergency medical services. These key stakeholders are involved in the risk assessment prior to event day and are responsible for developing risk management, emergency, and evacuation plans. In addition, the security coordinator must collaborate with any outsourced security vendors to ensure staff are adequately trained and familiar with the venue specifics. Public relations, marketing, and hospitality division managers work at the direction of the executive director in all matters pertaining to public relations, marketing, and hospitality. These people are responsible for personnel, procedures, and activities contained in their respective divisions, including but not limited to ceremonies and protocol, sponsorship, VIP services, media and PR, and hospitality entertainment. While coordinating, they recruit personnel to coordinate each activity and help staff complete assigned tasks and responsibilities. While coordinating personnel, policies, procedures, and activities within these divisions, these managers also assist other divisions with their respective PR, marketing, and hospitality needs. These managers develop, implement, and manage the overall event marketing plan and facilitate communications among personnel and other divisions as needed. These managers report directly to the executive director. In addition, they will evaluate the PR, marketing, and hospitality divisions and make recommendations. The major tasks to be done before the event are scheduling the event, negotiating the details with the organization involved, and coordinating the management of every aspect of the event. So there's 6 basic steps of event management plans. We'll talk about those next. There are 2 perspectives to consider when scheduling the event. The first is from the perspective of the facility. Scheduling an event entails a reservation process in which events are planned according to the philosophy of the facility. Because most facilities maintain a profit-oriented philosophy, a facility director tries to schedule the largest number of events without overburdening the facility or employees. The second perspective of scheduling is that of the event promoter or event director. In this case, the event promoter or director secures a venue based on the needs of the event itself. Because the event promoter or director also maintains a profit-oriented philosophy, he or she will book a venue that provides the best location and amenities to serve the demands of the event. Securing and contracting one specific event or attraction is known as booking an event. Scheduling may involve difficult decisions about what events are acceptable to the directors and management of the facility and what facility will best fit the needs of the event for the event promoter or director. For example, a boxing match or a mixed martial arts competition might be considered too controversial for some constituents or maybe distasteful to owners or managers, but they might produce a large profit from a significant ticket sales and the accompanying concession and merchandise revenues. The facility builds its reputation on how its directors handle such conflict. If the event promoter or director is attempting to schedule a controversial or risky event with apprehensive facility leaders, preparing for conflicts by developing a cost-benefit analysis and a risk management plan can assist in negotiating and securing venues. After making the decision to schedule the event, the facility director or his or her representative negotiates the terms of the contract with the event promoter or director. Most facilities use a boilerplate contract that addresses the specific terms, such as cost of the facility and division of the revenue, agreed upon by the facility and the promoter. This type of document uses standard language in a fill-in-the-blank format similar to most apartment leases to describe the various clauses in the contract. Normally, a pre-arranged and negotiated percentage known as a split is used to divide the various sources of revenue, such as sale of tickets, the merchandise, concessions, parking. There are 2 perspectives to consider when scheduling the event. The first from the perspective of the facility. Scheduling an event entails a reservation process in which events are planned according to the philosophy of the event. Because most facilities maintain a profit-oriented. In the facility, the event coordinator designs a work order for all employees to follow. The work order is the game plan for the event. It documents all requirements discussed with the promoter or director or other company representative. Anything not documented will be the responsibility of the event coordinator. The work order also defines the time required to do each assigned task. The event promoter or director will also design a work order for event staff. In addition, the promoter or director will create a work breakdown structure and a Gantt chart to assist him or her in managing the event. The WBS breaks the event tasks down into manageable parts and assigns specific resources to those tasks. The Gantt chart provides a visual illustration of the tasks and a bar chart. After much planning and anticipation, the day of the event arrives. To ensure the event runs smoothly, the event director will create run sheets, floor plans, and floor diagrams. The run sheet lays out the timing of the event, and the floor plans illustrate where equipment must be placed in the venue. The floor diagrams represent how event participants will move throughout the venue. For large events such as concerts and ice shows, an entire day, sometimes the day prior, is usually allowed for load in and setup of event equipment. For small events such as a local golf tournament, the event coordinator ensures that items such as the longest drive and closest to the pin markers are in place, that each group has received its caddy or electric cart, and that refreshments, award tables, and portable toilets are properly located. Delivering a safe and secure event is a priority for event management. As the profiling of sport events increases, so does the level of risks. Sport event threats may be intentional. Terrorism, hooliganism, vandalism, or unintentional logistical failure or inclement weather, and they have the potential to affect spectators, participants, and sponsors. The event security coordinator will collaborate with the command group to develop plans and conduct a necessary training and exercise initiative. First, a risk assessment will be conducted to identify relevant threats and vulnerabilities so appropriate plans, policies, procedures, and protective measures can be implemented. Essential facility plans include an emergency response plan, including incident response and evacuation procedures, and a business continuity and recovery plan. An event operation plan will also be developed to include policies for the following areas: alcohol, communications, credentialing, emergency medical services, fan conduct, missing person, parking, prohibited items, tailgating, ticket taking, search, and seating. Protective measures to be considered include the use of closed circuit television, adequate facility lighting, law enforcement presence at entry points, facility lockdown prior to events, scheduled vendor deliveries, staff background checks, and use of photo credentials, briefing and debriefing event meetings, and use of certified security providers if outsourced. Staff training and exercises will be conducted that address basic awareness, such as suspicious behavior or criminal activity, crowd control methods, and emergency or evacuation procedures. Once this training is completed, management should conduct exercises to test plans, ensure staff awareness of roles and responsibilities, and identify any resource gaps. The event attendees, whether spectators or active participants, are the fuel that the sport and entertainment industry relies on. Without attendees, there would be neither events nor facilities to house them. But the guests who attend sport and entertainment events are products of a society that has come to expect immediate results or instant gratification. Everyone knows that most businesses must have repeat customers to be profitable. In the same way, event managers depend on repeat customers to produce a profit. Thus, to guarantee repeat customers, event and facility managers must listen to their guests and respond effectively to their concerns. These managers must not only understand the role of the consumer experience, but also establish which consumers will be satisfied with the core product, the event, and ancillary services in order to ensure the attendee will return. To enhance this process, sport organizations can use social media to gauge what consumers are saying about their events and their experiences at the facility. In many instances, topics include congestion at the event, ease of parking and entering the location, and other experiences at the facility. By taking a proactive approach to monitoring feedback, sport organizations can ensure that they develop loyal consumers who will maximize word-of-mouth initiatives. A potential liability exists if intoxicated patrons create dangerous situations for themselves and others. Some people argue that revenue generated from alcohol sales is worth the risk, and some facilities would find it difficult to generate a profit without alcohol sales. Others have determined that the increased revenue produced by selling alcohol does not outweigh the liabilities. Develop an alcohol management plan that addresses admission policy and detection of alcohol products entering the stadium, restrictions on sales and marketing, and public awareness of stadium alcohol policies. Event staff should be trained through a certified alcohol management program, such as training for intervention procedures or techniques for effective alcohol management. Consider time and quantity limits before, during, and after events, and verify patrons' identification. For example, begin alcohol sales 1 hour prior to the event and end sales before event closure, and place a limit of the number of drinks that can be purchased at one time. Ensure that security officers monitor tailgate areas before and after games and limit tailgating hours before and after the event. Conduct gate searches for alcohol products and deny entry to visibly intoxicated fans and enforce a no re-entry policy. Consider implementing an anonymous text messaging system that fans can use to report problems to the command center. Enforce policies with ejection, revocation of season tickets, and termination of tailgating privileges. A facility or event manager needs a crowd management plan for every event, much like we experienced this weekend in Houston. Whether the event is a small high school basketball tournament at a local YMCA or an NCAA Division I softball championship, managing the ingress and egress of spectators and any potential crowd control issues is crucial to the safety of patrons and the subsequent success of the event. Crowd management planning components to consider include the following. Event organizers must ensure that they have adequate staff with appropriate skills. Factors to consider when determining staff requirements include anticipated attendance, number of events, single event versus multiple events, expertise required for specific roles, your staff composition, is it outsourced, in-house, or volunteer, and relative threat intelligence. Industry standards for the number of security personnel needed vary from country to country. In the United States, the National Fire Protection Association standard for fire and safety protection applies to crowd management principles. It states that there should be one trained crowd management professional for every 250 spectators in any facility with a capacity of more than 250 people. Once management has decided on the appropriate number of staff, they must determine whether they will use in-house operations, hire an outside company, or recruit a volunteer workforce. Some facilities choose to use their own staff to conduct crowd control duties. With these in-house operations, management must develop a staff training protocol to ensure appropriate responses. Other facilities outsource crowd management responses to independent contractors. Outsourcing might be cost effective if leaders do not have the time to invest in recruiting, training, and managing a security team. Another option is to use volunteers. Volunteers are often essential to events, especially mega events such as the Olympic and Paralympic Games. More than 50,000 volunteers were recruited for the Rio Olympics in 2016, and 70,000 volunteers were used in the London Olympics in 2012. The intent of an emergency plan is to ensure that minor incidents do not become a major incident and that major incidents do not become fatal. Emergencies take many forms, such as medical problems, such as life-threatening issues or minor injuries, severe weather, lightning and tornadoes, natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, fires, bomb threats, power losses, and terrorist activities. Managers must not only design and implement emergency plans, but they must also practice them, because courts will ask for documentation about when the plans were practiced. Ensuring accessibility for spectators with disabilities. An effective crowd control plan should address the procedures necessary to ensure facility accessibility for all citizens. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1992. The ADA has had a major effect on the design of sport and entertainment venues. Sport and entertainment event managers must be familiar with the ADA because its various requirements pertain to facility features such as signage, restrooms, telephones, parking, and shower stalls. Furthermore, event managers must also develop plans for the evacuation of spectators with disabilities or special needs. Procedures for ejecting disruptive people. An effective crowd control must address the procedures necessary to eject disruptive, unruly, or intoxicated patrons. The ejection duties, such as it should be the responsibility of trained crowd-controlled staff, and in some jurisdictions, police officers, sheriff's department personnel, or state troopers. These people must understand the concepts of the reasonably prudent person and excessive force, and they should understand that they might be sued for negligence if they eject patrons incorrectly. Ushers should not take these duties if they are not trained in crowd control procedures. Removing disruptive or intoxicated fans will provide a safer environment for the remaining spectators and help protect the facility or event manager from potential litigation. An efficient communication system is crucial in ensuring spectator safety, enjoyment, and security. The use of a centralized area or command center for representatives from each group involved in event management, such as law enforcement, maintenance, medical services, and security, will facilitate communication and improve decision making. The command center should be able to access the facility's public address system, fire alarm system, the turnstile system, and door access control. Incident reports are collected and analyzed at this site, and the appropriate event security personnel are notified to address any imminent crowd issues. Informational and directional signs build a support network between fans and facility management staff. Spectators appreciate being treated fairly, and if they are informed, they are normally abide by facility directives pertaining to non-smoking sections, alcohol policies, and prohibited items. Directional signs have several important uses. After the event is over and the attendees have filed out, the equipment is used by the event is gathered up and put away or stored in trucks, and cleanup of the facility commences. Depending on the size of the event, an additional day might be set aside for the loadout, but most events will load out on the same day because venues often have other events scheduled. Cleanup will also involve inventorying the equipment to make sure nothing has wandered off and ensure everything is still in working order and safe for the next time it is used. Immediately after the event, the management team evaluates the process. Documentation of the entire process is critical, not only for protection against subsequent litigation, but also for reference and planning future events. Feedback stations where event attendees can leave positive or negative feedback can elicit helpful information. Event satisfaction surveys, observation from event and facility staff, and incident reports can also provide valuable information to the event manager. A security debrief is important after an event to analyze safety and security issues and develop recommendations for future events. Here are a few review questions that you probably see on the test. What is the nearest major single-purpose facility in your area? And who would be involved in the management of that type of facility? And why do the management team members need to meet to evaluate the overall production after the event ends? And why should the team complete all the proper documentation at that meeting? What role can technology play in the event management process to ensure consumers are enjoying their experience at the facility? So in summary, the FIFA World Cup, the Olympic Games, concerts, and high school track meets have two common denominators. They take place in some type of facility, and they are events. Given that they have these two traits, they must have people to manage them. Sport organizations can choose to manage events in-house or outsource them to private management companies. These private entities have been successful in raising the profit margins of many sport and public assembly facilities across the United States. To ensure a successful event, facility directors must perform several important tasks, and they need to understand how these tasks relate to the successful completion of every event. Scheduling and booking an event begin in the overall process, and a cost analysis is critical in these initial operations. After the facility director has decided that the event will be held, the necessary contracts needed to be signed, and the event coordinator must create and communicate a work order to the others on the event and management team. Items such as seating arrangements, crowd management, alcohol policies, settlement, and event evaluation must be carried out for an event to be successful. The number of facilities have grown significantly in recent years, and many of these facilities schedule sport and entertainment events with global implications. Worldwide terrorist attacks have changed the facility and event management industry dramatically. In addition, some areas of sport have downsized because of factors such as changes in the economy, corporate mergers, and business failures. Because of these trends, the future of facility and event management is not as clear as it once was imagined. Slower revenue growth has affected profit margins. This has been a domino effect on facility and event management that needs to be consistently monitored moving forward. In addition, sport organizations must also be aware of the ways that they can use technology to enhance the experience provided to customers who attend their events. And that is all we have for today. You guys have a great day. I'll talk with you later.